Oh, we are live.
We are live.
I wasn't looking towards the point. Looked up there and I heard your. All right, here we are. It's the Coach Scott Field Show, live from beautiful BRAVEHAVEN Studios. A little bit bittersweet. It's the last show of the season.
Yep.
Season 1, segment 19, Bob. We've put 19 of these shows together, and what a great ride it's been.
Man, that's unbelievable. 19 shows just from a couple of guys horsing around.
And you know, I'm glad you say that, because we are just a two-man show who try to put on a quality product with the resources that we have. And I feel so lucky to be able to work with you, a friend, and who this was kind of your idea a couple years ago. You approached me and you were like, hey Coach, we ought to do a show. And I was like, man, I just don't know, Bob. And of course, timing, you know,
right.
We were all pulled in different directions. And finally I saw you again this past winter and you're like, we ought to put this show together. And I kind of put some feelers out there with some friends, and some guys came back to me and they're like, Coach, you ought to do it. You got a good idea. So, you know, our vision together has come to fruition, and here we are on segment 19, Monday, August 18th, and we're going to take a little break after this show tonight. So it's the last show of the season here tonight. We've got two great guests, and you know, I'm not going to go into a whole big monologue. I'm not going to go into a whole bunch of other stuff like I usually do starting off the show. The first thing I want to do is send a heartfelt thank you to our sponsors. Of course, this show would not be able to go without my friend Bob FITZGERALD in BRAVEHAVEN Studios. You can find him at bravehaven.com. You look at this virtual set and you see this beautiful executive desk. You see the Jumbotron behind me. You see the Salt Lake City skyline. You got a basketball goal up there. We got wonderful lighting and graphics and sound, and Bob does an outstanding job and puts his heart and soul into it with the time that he has. I mean, he's got his full-time gig and family, but wow, to moonlight this and do it with you, boy, has that been a lot of fun. Man, you make me look good.
Well,
that's hard work.
No. You're such a natural at this. You put people at ease, and they enjoy talking with you, and so that I think that's the main success of the show. I mean, the set, the gizmos and gadgets. That's all they are gizmos and gadgets.
Hey.
Without you, it wouldn't be anything.
Well, I appreciate your kind words. I was apprehensive going into this show because all I've done my entire adult life was coach and be on the court and travel the globe and work with players and develop players, and I've taken so much pride in that. And I always put so much pressure on myself as a person to, you know, whatever I'm going to do, I want to be the best at it. And I was nervous because I was like, you know, okay, we're going to try to do this, but I want to be able to make sure I'm prepared every week, you know, have the right guest on there to be able to draw the right questions, to make sure that we give the quality content to our viewers. And gosh, it's been a fun ride. It really has for the first season. I've grown from this. You know, our little mantra, you know, it's empower, educate, and grow.
Right.
And we've done that this year as people and as professionals. This set has continued to get better. The graphics, hopefully I'm doing a little bit better job here as the dancing monkey in front of the camera. But I've had a lot of fun with it. And, you know, to think that tonight when we look at our demographics on my website alone, to have over 12,100 viewers right now.
Yep.
I'm humbled by that. And the international following that we've had this week alone, South Africa, Portugal, and Poland have tuned in and watched our show. So to South Africa, I thank you. To Portugal and to Poland, I thank you. You know, to have a click and, you know, come on and see what our show's doing. Last week, I think it was India and, you know, some other countries like that. It's just, it's amazing that, you know, we can put this together and there's people around the globe that will hopefully we are empowering and we're educating and helping grow as individuals is a pretty powerful thought. I'm humbled by it. And I can't thank you enough for your loyalty and your viewership. I hope that we have a great viewership tonight, and I thank you. You know, again, our sponsors, yourself. Also got to thank my wife for letting me to come out of the house, away from family, with Salon Dante. They do a great job up there. It's a complete day spa. She, of course, she's one of the beauticians and hairstylists up on the second floor there. They're at 94 South and 7th East. The phone number there is 801-572-8812. And again, that's Salon Dante, so I thank them. Also, MetLife. Your son and a former player of mine, Nick FITZGERALD, who is a financial advisor there with MetLife. Let Nick put your financial package together. He's an advisor up there, and he can put you on a path to enjoy those golden years that as you set in front of you. You got to be prepared. You can reach him at 801-999-3773. I also want to thank John Madsen for his time when he came onto the show earlier this year, with the work that he does with the individuals here in the Salt Lake Valley. You can see him at teamjmp.com. So definitely want to start off and thank our sponsors. Really look forward to the growth working with our sponsors coming into next year. With that growth, Bob, you know, while we're between shows, you and I, we will get together. We're going to do some instructional kind of snippets and, you know, technical kind of aspects on the court to, you know, give some people some things to kind of, you know, again, to get better as players out there. And again, coaches can use it for their libraries. That's going to be happening. I'm also on my website, CoachScottFields.com. I'm going to be holding some live chats. I'm also going to be doing some live coaching roundtables where I hope that many high school and college coaches, international coaches will come on, and we will do live roundtables where we'll have 2 or 3 guys kind of spearhead the roundtable. You guys ask these coaches questions, and we'll all have responses. And I think that'll be an interesting way to kind of drive to, you know, keep the juices flowing, because we as coaches, you know, we have to continue to grow, to be better, you know, at every day. And so I look forward to that. I'll continue my player development workouts as well. You can reach me at CoachScottFields@gmail.com, and we'll continue to work out with players here in the Valley. Gonna have a little void here on Monday nights. I'm gonna miss it.
Yeah. For 6 weeks or so, we're gonna take a little break.
Yeah.
But the thing I just wanted to bring up is you know, if you go to the CoachScottFields.com website, you can watch all of season 1.
Yeah.
Just go to the archives page, and all the shows are there, and you can watch those things, and then keep going to the website and checking for those little updates that you're talking about, because I think those are going to be fun things for us to do, and great insights into some things that are coming up, and we're looking.
Again, we want to continue to make it educational for our players and our coaches, and for just, you know, for anybody in any walk of life professionally. We want to, you know, continue to be of service to them. And, you know, and with this break, you know, we're putting together those financial packets for our sponsors, where we're going to have our sales teams. We're going to have a local sales team, a national sales team, and an international sales team to continue to grow the show and you know, see where that takes us. But I'm really excited for that as well. I
am too. You know,
again, we're just a 2-man show.
Well, you know, and
it's tough.
It is. You know, and I think the learning curve has been pretty steep, and you know, we still make mistakes, and so we still have glitches. But that's part of technology, and especially when you're doing something live.
Sure.
It's not like we can sit there and edit this and then put it out there. I mean, we probably could, but I like the live interaction, especially with the guests, because you never know what's going to come up, and where the topics are driven, and you can be current. You can be current as the day, you know, because you never know. Like when the Donald Sterling thing was going on,
that's right.
We had a show and talked while events were happening and unfolding.
That's right.
So.
And that's been fun, because really it's kind of been an amoeba, and it kind of takes on a life of its own, and it's been fun to kind of let it, for us to have the autonomy and the creativity and control that creativity to give the viewers quality content has been great.
Yep.
You know, it really has. So we continue to look forward to that. But, you know, I get a lot of emails, and people will, you know, send me questions, Bob, and they'll be like, Coach, you know, what can I do to get in at coaching at the college level, or what can I do to go coach internationally? So I want to spend a few minutes on that for the coaches out there. You know, I think it's important. I'm a detail guy, and you as a coach have to be a detailed coach, and you have to be prepared, and you have to be organized. If you know you've got an interview coming up, don't just walk into that room thinking, okay, I'm so-and-so, and this is who I am, and this is what I'm about, and this is how I'm going to get this job. You need to be prepared for that job. Get a hold of your friends at that level. Let them give you 2 or 3 practice mock interviews to prepare for the types of questions that you may get from maybe that board if you're going to get a high school job, or maybe if you're going into a college job, what is that athletic director looking for? What were the weaknesses of the coach that was there prior to him? Talk to the coach that was just released. Find out, some of the landmines that are there within the institution, and educate yourself and walk in there prepared, because it's just like anything. Think back when some of you younger guys were in a classroom and you had test anxiety. That anxiety was much more if you didn't study and prepare for that test or that quiz. It's the same thing with the job interview. If you are not prepared and you haven't had mock interviews and you don't know what kind of questions are going to come at you, they're going to hit you with a question. I'm going to tell you what. Your presentation, your body language, the way that you promote yourself, the way that you manage and control your voice in that interview can help you be confident enough to sell that administrator or that athletic director or that general manager to make sure that you are the man for that job. Talking about that, coaches, what is your philosophy? What do you bring to the table? What is your offensive philosophy? What is your defensive philosophy? Are you detailed? What types of things are you doing defensively? Are you, are you more of a full court defensive type coach? Are you kind of one of the guys that force things to the baseline? Are you one of the guys that keep things out of the middle? You need to think about what is your philosophy and what is your game plan and how are you going to be successful? What is your offensive philosophy? Do you want an up-tempo? Do you want to spread the floor? Do you want to get multiple touches? These are things that you need to be thinking about to make sure you know what you want, and then that way you're driving the ship. You are the captain. You want to go out and get the personnel that fits your philosophy so that way you're going to put a quality product on the floor that's going to be entertaining and productive night in and night out to give that fan base and that community everything that they want to see in a team within that, wherever that region where you're at. What is your brand? You as a coach have to have a brand. It's just like as a professional, when you think of Nike, what do you think of? You think of the swoosh. You think of the motto, just do it. But what is Nike's brand? Well, you're the same thing as a coach. When you walk into that interview, what sets you apart from the other 15, 20 coaches that they've already had telephone interviews with, have already had face-to-face interviews with? Myself, I pride myself on the mental and physical preparation. The guys are going to be mentally and physically prepared. They're going to be conditioned. They're going to be structured. We're going to have an up-tempo style of basketball. It's going to be an entertaining brand, but they're going to be tough. They're going to be hard-nosed. They're going to be disciplined. They're going to be tenacious on the defensive end. And those are your brands. So when people says, Scott Fields, what is your brand? If they've been to your games or if they've seen your style of play, they need to say, oh, when you think of it this way, one of the best in the business, Jerry Sloan, the Hall of Famer here. When you thought of Jerry Sloan, what did you think of? Toughness, prepared, disciplined. That's a brand. That was Jerry Sloan's style of basketball. When you think of Popovich, what is his brand? Organized, team play. Again, there's going to be certain, intangibles that you as a coach are going to bring to that team. And the thing that things about Popovich has been good is think about how he's kind of adapted his philosophy to meet the players that he's had, and that's why he's so successful. His finger is constantly on the pulse. Think about when Tim Duncan came in as a rookie. Everything was still going around David Robinson, and then Tim kind of got better. Then the offense went through Tim. Then they started getting the international players. They kind of spaced off the floor to where they were going to be more comfortable. I think the big mistake that coaches make, they go to all these coaches clinics and they see these coaches put on these plays up on the board. They say, oh, I'm going to take that play and I'm going to use that play. If you don't have the players that can work that play, you are not going to be successful. So you as coaches, you have to dig a little deeper, look at your personnel and find out, what can I do to put my point guard in a better position to be successful? What can I do to put my wings in a better position to where they can catch the ball, to where they're going to be comfortable, to put them in a position to be successful? Don't put them in a position to fail or be uncomfortable or lose their swagger and confidence, because it's just going to snowball and get worse. And if you're yelling and screaming and being negative, it's not going to work, because they're already young and fragile, and you got to be positive with positive reinforcement. So I just want to share those kind of thoughts with our viewers and with our coaches on, what is your philosophy? What is your brand? How prepared are you for these job interviews? And I'm going to be the first to tell you, I'm not perfect. I've made my mistakes, but I've learned and I've grown from all those mistakes. If I had all the answers, I'd be an NBA head coach myself right now. So obviously, I got to look at the mirror and say, okay, whatever I've done these last 2 or 3 years, I've got to change it because that hasn't worked. So now I got to change my approach, change my mentality, change the way I network, build those authentic relationships, nurture those authentic relationships, and then continue to master my skill and my craft so that when that opportunity does come, that I'm prepared as soon as I walk onto that floor, because you're not going to BS those players that you walk on that floor with. If you don't know what your philosophy is and how you're going to help them develop and grow as players, you will not be a success. I'm off that.
I endorse that 100%. You know, I kind of, as you're talking, I'm kind of relating things to the fire service because that's my background.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of young guys coming into the fire service.
Yeah.
And everything in the fire service is competitive.
Yeah.
For promotions and
That's
for positions and everything else. And a lot of these guys, the guys that aren't successful, a lot of them, they do nothing on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
To prepare them for the position.
That's right.
And when a testing opportunity comes up, all they do is they open a book and they look at that. And I try to teach these young guys,
Right.
you know, if you're prepared for the position, you're prepared for the promotional process.
Right.
The same thing in an interview. You know, like you said, you have your brand, you have your things that you've got to do, and if you've got that in place, it makes that testing or that interview process so much easier.
You better believe it. You know what? It's amazing because I've heard guys that I'll say, okay, hey, who are your 3 best friends and who are your references going to be? They don't even prepare their references for how they're going to market themselves for that position. And how silly is it going to be if I'm a general manager and I call this guy and say, hey, I'm calling on behalf of so-and-so, what can you tell me about him? And he's not prepared and doesn't even know that you've applied for the position, but yet you put him down as a reference. Goodbye, you're done.
Yep.
That guy that you call and your reference needs to say, okay, hey, you need to prepare your reference. You need to let him know what the position is, what the strengths and weaknesses of that job are, what your strengths and weaknesses are, so you can promote your assets and your skill sets for the strengths that they need to take care of the weaknesses and the voids that they lost trying to get that position.
Yep.
So prepare your references. I mean, something that minute and simple, guys don't take the time to prepare their references, and it's like, it's crazy that they're not prepared because you think, oh, I've had a relationship with this guy for 5 years, I'm going to put him down as a reference, and all of a sudden they get a call, yeah, I haven't talked to Scott in like 5 years. Well, there you go, you've lost it.
Yep.
So something as simple, but details are so important. Prepare, 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 and the more prepared you are, the better you are going to be. And speaking of prepared, I've got to tell you, I've got to promote this book. Bob, what a book I've got here. An acquaintance of mine, Darren Heitner, he is an attorney and an outstanding person, and I refuse to sit here and try to misrepresent somebody, but some of you guys out there who are wanting to get into the sports marketing, sports management type of things where you want to be a player representative, an attorney, you know, getting into being an agent, if you don't get a hold of this book by Darren Heitner, you're not preparing yourself. This book here, Bob, I spent some time with it, and I'm going to tell you what, talking about litigation, talking about preparation, talking about, there's so many little things that he talks about in as far as what you need to do and how you need to learn the business, to learn the ins and outs, to prepare yourself, you know, to market these players. I am so impressed with this book. It's called How to Play the Game. This is what every sports attorney needs to know. Darren Heitner. You can get a hold of Darren Heitner at Darren Heitner on Twitter. Again, at Darren Heitner, DARRENHEITNER, Darren Heitner. Get a hold of this book if you're wanting to get into being a sports agent, and this will open your eyes. It's going to prepare you. It's going to give you some insight. It's going to give you content, and I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to be able to promote this because this guy, you know, travels. He's a speaker. You know, he writes for Forbes magazine. Unbelievable. This is a gold mine. So if you're going to want to be an agent, get a hold of him on Twitter. Contact him. tell them that you want to get a copy of this book, I feel like I'm going to be a better coach. And even
sure.
even on how I'm going to talk to players, you know, when I'm wanting them to come provide a service for me, I feel like just by spending a little bit of time in this book, I understand where the agent's coming from. You always hear all the negative things about agents. These guys who are at the top of their game, they're at the top again because they take care of the details.
Yep.
And this is the foundation of those details. So hey, at Darren Heitner, get a hold of him. Great book. Had to promote it, my man.
Yep, no worries.
Now, let's talk about the show for tonight.
Okay.
Fred Vinson. He's an assistant coach with the New Orleans Pelicans. He and I have had a long, long relationship. I cannot wait to get Coach Fred Vinson from the Pelicans on here to share his journey, to share his insight, and again, to hear from his humble beginnings, to see where he's at today. I'm so proud of this guy. I'm thrilled to call him a friend. After this break, we're going to get Fred Vinson live on the Coach Scott Field Show right here from BRAVEHAVEN Studios. And if you're a friend of the NBA, and if you have any interest in wanting to know about perseverance and wanting to know about quality character, Fred Vinson is the one to learn from, because we're talking about a guy who, you know, he played at a little junior college in North Carolina. He went on to play at Georgia Tech with Bobby Crimmins. He was an undrafted player. Again, went through the hard knocks, played at so many minor league levels, got himself into the NBA, continued to grow, and here he is now on the bench with Monty Williams. So can't wait to get Fred Vinson. After that, a former player of mine, Matt Garrison, is going to come on the show, and he's going to talk about his journey. Actually, Bob, I gave him his first professional job as a player when I coached him in Austria way back when I had a lot more hair on my head. It was a lot of fun, and I'm sure he's going to have some great stories for us too. So when we come back, it's going to be Fred Vinson of the New Orleans Pelicans right here on the Coach Scott Field Show.
Calling right now. You hear that okay?
Yeah, sounds good.
Hello?
Hello, is this Fred?
Yes,
Hey,
speaking.
Fred, this is Bob FITZGERALD, BRAVEHAVEN Media. I've got Coach Scott Fields. I'd like to talk with you on the air if that's okay with you.
Yes.
All right, go ahead, Scott.
Are we live?
We are.
We are back from BRAVEHAVEN Studios. It's the Coach Scott Field Show. I am thrilled, and here it is, almost triple digits in heat out here, Bob. It's hot, but I got goosebumps right now because my boy Freddie V is live on the Coach Scott Field Show. Fred Vinson, how you doing tonight, my man?
I'm doing great, Scott. Thanks for having me on.
Man, I know I'm thrilled to have you, buddy. I mean, we've had a great season of a show this year, and we've had quality guests, and it's gentlemen like yourself who are taking the time from their own busy schedule to come be a part of the show to help empower and educate and grow this wonderful game of basketball as coaches, as players, and of all walks of life. So I thank you, Fred, for coming on. Coach, how you doing, buddy? Are you in New Orleans right now?
Yes, Scott. I am in New Orleans, and we're in the process of getting ready to slowly start gearing things back up with the team.
Well, I know you've got Coach Monty Williams with Team USA right now as an assistant. I bet that's got to be a great experience for him. You guys are holding it down there, getting the players prepared, probably getting some workouts and some player development stuff in, and gearing up for another exciting season of Pelican basketball out there.
Yes, yeah. I mean, we're excited. We're very excited and proud of Coach Williams for having an opportunity, to be a part of USA basketball, and also Anthony Davis as well.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to work wonders for him in his growth as being a part of USA basketball, and also having Coach Williams there along the way to kind of, continue to help him improve and develop.
Yeah, you know what? And I'll tell you what. Since you've mentioned Anthony Davis, I watched him in the game versus Brazil in Chicago, and I thought Anthony made his presence known. He was active. He was blocking shots, changing shots, rebounding. He ran the floor extremely well. He finished on the breaks. They got out in transition, and he was all over the floor. He was diving on loose balls, and you got to love that type of energy from a guy who's going to be a space eater and help protect the basket for Team USA. And like you say, that opportunity for him for growth and maturity, and the confidence that he's going to come back with after playing and representing our country that way. I was thrilled for him to see him play so well in Chicago.
Yes, I was too, and I watched the game, and I'm very proud. And it was just great to see him get an opportunity to actually play in Chicago. Since he's been here with us,
right.
First as a Hornet and now as a Pelican, he's been injured. Each time we've gone out to Chicago to play versus the Bulls. So I'm sure he was excited to be back in Chicago and playing in front of his home city and family, and we were very excited, and I was very excited to watch him out there. A little bit scary with him diving in the stands after the ball.
Yeah.
Wasn't overly excited about that, but that's just who he is. I mean, he's a guy that gets after it. He hustles, and he's kind of all over the place.
Yeah, well, he did a great job, and again, I can understand, especially when you see a freak accident, and Godspeed to Paul George and his horrific, misfortunes, when he had that bad break, in the scrimmage game, and I'm sure everybody probably had a collective hold of their breath when you see Anthony dive into the third row to chase a loose ball down. But that energy, he was inflicting his will on the game, and it seemed to ignite and kind of put Team USA on a little bit of a run, because everybody's defensive intensity picked up just by his efforts doing that.
Yes, I think he's definitely taken on a leadership role there with USA basketball, and it's great to see among such great players from our league that's representing their country, to see him kind of take a step and take a stand, and to see his energy out there and his leadership. And I think that's going to work tremendous wonders, and hopefully, and I'm sure he will carry that on into the season for us this year.
Without a doubt. Well, hey, let's switch gears real quick, Freddie. Let's talk about Fred Vinson, the person and the coach. I want you to share, with our international viewership, who Fred Vinson is. The perseverance that where you've come from. Murfreesboro, North Carolina, Chowan Junior College, to go on to play for Bobby Crimmins there at Georgia Tech, to be undrafted, the years of minor league basketball that you played, a little bit of time with the Atlanta Hawks. But I want you to kind of share, the minor leagues and the international play, and you as a player, and talk about some of those things to educate the players on what it takes to persevere and keep yourself ready, and to constantly keep that confidence in yourself and have yourself mentally and physically prepared for whatever opportunity may come up. Please share that with them, Fred.
Yeah, I think the greatest thing for me, and it still kind of carries on a little bit today, even as a coach, was that I never allowed myself to get out of shape.
Yeah.
I felt like my conditioning, my skill set, I was constantly working on my skill set, to try and strive and play basketball at its highest level. So I was always in a position each summer. I was always on one-year deals. So each summer I had to be prepared to try to go into an NBA summer league to try and make an NBA team.
Yeah.
You know, and so it was always a fight, it was always a struggle. So the number one thing for me was the conditioning aspect and always being game ready.
Right.
You know, and it wasn't easy. Yeah. You know, because at some point you try to have downtime, but through the course of my career, I didn't have a lot of downtime. Yeah. You know, because I had huge goals, and you know, obviously the ultimate goal and for most players is to make it to the NBA. You know, and I was fortunate to make the Atlanta Hawks and play for the great coach Lenny Wilkins for a short stint there in Atlanta as a rookie.
Uh-huh.
And I was out for a while, and I was able to take advantage of an opportunity, a summer league opportunity, try out with the Seattle Supersonics, and I was fortunate to play a season, you know, with a guy, you know, Gary Payton, who's now a Hall of Famer, and just a bunch of a great group of guys. And but I was fortunate enough to play for Coach Westfall and get the opportunity to play in the NBA again. So, you know, the main thing is, like you said, it's about perseverance.
You bet. You bet. Well, think about it. You got to play for, and I got to coach with a great junior college coach out there at Chowan Junior College. You know, and at one time, Fred, I know you know this, and I'm going to call you coach because, you know, you're coaching at the highest levels now, but Coach Burke was like the second winningest coach in the state of North Carolina when you had the Dean Smiths in North Carolina. You had Coach K, you know, starting to have his success out at Duke. Bob Burke, year after year, had great players and quality teams out there and nationally ranked teams. I mean, even Nate McMillan, before he went to North Carolina State, before he went into the NBA, played there with Coach Burke. You know, at Chowan Junior College there in Murfreesboro, and you got to play for him as well.
Yes, I mean, he's obviously, he's everything to me. He's a mentor. You know, he's been a father figure. He's been a confidant. He's been kind of everything to me, you know, in terms of my career path, my development now as a coach. You know, I talk to him about different things in the business of coaching. And for me, when I was growing up in the area, actually growing up in Murfreesboro, that's all I heard about was Coach Burke.
Yeah.
You know, and the program and the players that were being, you know, that were coming out of Chowan and going to play the major division basketball.
Right.
So I actually turned down academic scholarships just because I wanted the opportunity to play for Coach Burke and to play at Chowan and give myself an opportunity to go on to play major Division I basketball.
Yeah.
My first year there, I didn't get to play much. I didn't even get a full scholarship. I got a partial scholarship. I actually got my books paid for. I'm sorry, I didn't get a scholarship. Had to take out student loan my first year, and you know, I was able to get in there and just kind of grind it out. And you know, Coach Burke, as you know, can be very, very tough on you.
Yeah.
So you know, he kind of created a certain toughness in me, and I was just driven to excel. I was driven to, you know, to please him. And I just knew if I did the right things that, you know, that he would have the contacts and he would have the ability to help me get to that next level. You know, at which I was able to do, you know, and get an opportunity to play for Coach Crimmins at Georgia Tech. But, you know, it all started, my basketball career, you know, started with Coach Burke there at Chowan.
Yeah, we definitely got to give him a shout out. He allowed me to come in and be an assistant coach with him, and what a great year it was. And because of the year that we had with him, and so much knowledge that I gained from him every day in that practice was like a clinic. And it was amazing to see that, you know, I talked earlier about coaches having to have a philosophy. Well, you know what? He was going to run that UCLA high post, and we're going to have little variations and cuts off to that. And we had drill work for each player within that system. And, you know, he'd look at us and he'd say, Coach, he says, every coach in the country knows what we're going to do, but they're not going to be able to stop it. And you know what?
Yeah.
It was true. He got the right players. We'd go out and recruit the players for each specific position, for those skill sets, for the post entry pass, for the duck ends, you know, for the you know, high post cuts, and you know, we'd get the shooters. And he was right. You know, we got the right players, and you know, again, he had a wealth of coaches that would come through their big Division I schools that were recruiting the talent, just like yourself. Like as you say, you know, you got to go on and play at Georgia Tech, but what an amazing basketball mind Coach Burke is. And like you said, he was going to mentally get you prepared for the next step in your journey. And my work with him there led me to go out and work at Chaminade University, where we hosted the Maui Invitational on ESPN. And it was his work and his way of preparing me and with being a better recruiter and being a teacher on the floor that helped catapult my coaching career as well. So we definitely got to thank Coach Burke.
Yes, and I'm really truly excited, like I said, to have just been a part of his program and to have been a part of the legacy, you know, that was Chowan basketball. You know, I'm proud to say that I finally get an opportunity in November. I'm going into the Chowan Sports Hall of Fame.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And for me, it's a huge accomplishment, you know, being a local kid there from Murfreesboro, the only local kid to ever play there at Chowan, and you know, had some success. And to me, I want to represent, you know, the town of Murfreesboro, and just move along my career and just make Coach Burke proud of me.
Wow, it couldn't happen to a better person. I'm thrilled for you. You've stayed humble throughout your career. We've had hard knocks, and if you remember, I was actually working with you one summer and tried very hard to get you to come out and play for me when I was with the championship team in Lebanon, and we got very, very close on it. And it just didn't quite work. But boy, I'll tell you what, I was working hard because I knew with your skill set and your veteran leadership, you would have been exactly what that team needed, especially to be able to shoot and open up the floor and, you know, allow us to have spacing. And I just know you would have brought so much to the locker room. You know, just your professionalism, your work ethic. You could have helped groom those younger players, and that's why it's exciting for me to see you have the success that you're having now that your playing career is over and now that you're into coaching. You know, we've talked about Coach Burke. I mean, you got to play with Coach Crimmins. Like you said, you was with, you know, one of the winningest basketball coaches with Lenny Wilkins. What types of things did you take from Lenny Wilkins now that you're a coach that you're able to apply? Because I know you've taken a lot of things from Coach Burke as far as the toughness, and you talked about being prepared, and I'm sure, you know, that was an influx of a lot of things that he taught you. But what types of things did you take from Coach Wilkins when you were with the Atlanta Hawks?
Well, I think the number one thing I learned from Coach Wilkins, the first thing I learned was to not feel sorry for yourself. You know, he would always say that, guys, don't feel sorry for yourself. You know, and I think he meant that in a variety of ways. I think one of the ways he meant that was, you know, there's no need to blame other people, you know, when things don't go your way. Hey, you know, you keep your head down and you keep grinding and you fight through those tough times.
Yeah.
You know, and just to watch him, he was so simple. You know, he cut through all of the just the nonsense, and he got right directly to the point. He's one of the first coaches. He is the first coach that I've ever seen in a huddle. If he had nothing to say during the timeout, he wouldn't say anything. He would just sit there, let the guys, you know, have the Gatorade or whatever we were doing, and he would not say anything. And I've never experienced it since him. I mean, every coach, when the timeout comes and the guys huddle up and the coach sitting in the chair, they always say something. And that's just who he was. You know, Coach Wilkins was a quiet personality. But at the same time, when he said something, he listened. Yeah. You know, because when he said something, it was sharp and it was on point. Yeah. And he was just a joy to play for. As a young guy, you know, having him as your first coach, I mean, he was really, really, as a professional, he was a joy to play for.
I bet. And because now then you've talked about, of course, you know, you had a lot of minor league teams. You played in the USBL with the Atlanta Trojans. The CBA with the Mexico City Aztecs. You was with the Fort Wayne Fury. You went to Israel. Then you was in the USBL with the New Jersey Shore Cats. And then again, you had that chance with the Seattle Sonics. What did that mean to you to have that opportunity from the NBA Summer League to go in and be with the Sonics and now learn from that staff?
Well, I think the biggest thing for me, you know, along the way, I'll never forget, you know, and God bless his soul, Gary Wortman, who was working for the Atlanta Hawks. as one of their scouts, one of their upper management guys. He said to me one time, he said, Fred, he's like, you'll make the NBA. He's like, you'll make the NBA again. And this was after the Hawks had released me. He said, you'll make the NBA again. He said, if you just don't give up. Yeah. He said, you have a certain skill set that's an NBA skill set. And my skill was shooting, particularly long-range shooting.
Tray maker.
And yeah, shooting the three ball. And but Gary said, Fred, if you just don't give up, he's like, you'll make it back to the NBA. And so I hung on to that. No matter what level I played at or where I played at. I played in some of the craziest countries, some of the craziest leagues, including, obviously the minor leagues and USBL and CBA, and I went all those places, but ultimately, because I never gave up and I persevered and I took I didn't take the easy way out and I worked my behind off. I got an opportunity to get back to the NBA and have an opportunity to play for the Seattle Supersonics. So a lot of that was with his words ringing in my ears, like, just don't give up. If you just keep going, you'll get there.
Yeah. Well, you know what the amazing thing about that is we use the cliche of perseverance and stuff, but you have to have the self-confidence, and like you said, his message rang loud and clear in your ear that you have an NBA skill set. You can shoot it. You're always, as a shooter, you're always going to find a place somewhere, because a shooter is an asset. You're going to bring a weapon and open up the floor for these teams that you can play with. And the guys who have their fingers on the pulse and know the game and see someone with your type of skill set as a player was only going to get better, my man. So you're with the Seattle Sonic. You talked about Gary Payton. And again, I mean, you've been in Poland. You've been in Israel. You was in Venezuela. You was in France. You never quit. You just continued to play. And I see this still in you today. You're still in great shape. You get out there and you work up a great lather as you're working on player development with these players now. And I wouldn't doubt that you couldn't go out there and outshoot some of them boys right now, huh, Coach?
Yeah, I mean, shooting is something that you don't lose. Yeah. If I could just stand out on the court and just stay on one end, the offensive end, and just catch and shoot, I can still play. Yeah. But obviously, that's not how you play the game, and you got to run up and down, and you got to defend and rebound and do some of the more physical things that I probably would get lost in.
Yeah.
So I don't do much with our players now. I mean, if we have some shooting contests and they need another guy on the floor, most of the time I think they know a little bit of my history, so they kind of stay away from it a little bit. But getting out there with guys like Ryan Anderson and Anthony Morrow and the guys that we had from last season. Yeah. I mean, those guys can really shoot the ball. Right. I mean, I've had some times where I've shot the ball well with these guys are really upper echelon shooters. Yeah. And now this season we've signed Jimmer Fredette.
Right.
We're excited to have him. And so that's another guy that shoots the ball very well. So there would definitely be competition for me out there.
There you go. Well, Anthony Morrow was a guy that I got to work with for a couple summers when I was with Coach Smart with the Golden State Warriors, and he was actually a guest on our show earlier in the year. And of course, everybody out here in Utah knows Jimmer Fredette because of his legendary status at BYU. And the guy can flat out fill it up, and I'm glad he's found a home out there with you guys, and I hope he stays close with you and you continue to help his confidence and get him comfortable in that combo guard type of position. He's definitely a great person, and everybody here in the Salt Lake Valley idolizes him. He comes back and runs camps here, and so the Pelicans have got a good guy with him. And again, to have a shooter like yourself that's there, that's only going to benefit him more. And I think you'll have a good time working with him, Coach.
Yes, I'm excited. He's actually ironically one of the guys that I've been assigned to in terms of with our staff. Each coach kind of assigned to certain players. When it comes to player development stuff. So I've been assigned to work with him and try and help him, be successful in the league and continue to get better and to help our team and to help us win. And I think his element, his ability to shoot the basketball, and the things that he's proven, in his short stint here in the NBA, I really look forward to have him to him having a springboard season.
Yeah.
To where he can really kind of take off a little bit.
There you go, and I know it's going to be a great opportunity for him. Coach, you spent a little bit of time with the Clippers. You spent a couple years out there, and of course, you're now with the New Orleans Hornets. How exciting is that? I mean, you got to be with the Clippers staff. You were with some player development. Full-time assistant coach. Your bench coach now. What is that like? Having that opportunity to get in there. You've worked hard as a player, as a coach. You're now in the NBA. I mean, has it ever really sunk in, or are you just always preparing and growing and looking for the next challenge, or the players that are coming in? Because NBA basketball is a 12-month of the year show. I mean, you got the NBA Summer League, you got the draft workouts. Now you've got the free agent camps. You've got the veteran camps. I mean, there's always preparation, and there's always things going on. I'm proud of you. I'm sure you're excited for the upcoming season.
Yeah, yes, I am. I mean, and the one thing about my job is I never stop trying to find ways to get better at my craft, and it's kind of a carryover from my thought process as a player. I was always trying to find ways to get better.
Yeah.
And as a coach, I do the same. Whether it's going to clinics, whether it's watching videos of coaching clinics, and just learning from the best.
Yeah.
Obviously, I have Coach Williams as a mentor. And
yes.
He's my head coach, and I've learned an extreme amount of basketball from him. He obviously he played for Pat Riley and Coach Popovich, and coached under Coach Popovich. He played for Larry Brown. So he's played for some brilliant basketball minds. So I kind of pick his mind on things, and so that all that information is being passed down, and I want to learn as much as I can from it.
Right.
And so I started the league out with Coach Dunleavy. And he, once again, a brilliant basketball mind. I mean, some of the stuff that he came up with and his system, it was unbelievable to me. And I was like a kid in the candy store starting out. So just in starting out with him, I got a great foundation. And then coming over here to New Orleans and continuing that learning process, because he taught in a different way than Coach Popovich taught, and Coach Riley taught, which Coach Williams learned from. They taught different ways, different styles, different systems. So if you combine all the things that I learned, through those coaches, it's been great. And I continue today to find every way I can to grow as a coach, and continue to learn as much as I can about this game.
Yeah, I love it, Coach. You're a great person. You're a class act. You're very humble. You're looking to grow and learn any way that you can. I enjoyed watching Coach Williams last year, when the camp season started, because the real training camp was being recorded on NBA TV. Mm-hmm. So I'd set my DVR and I'd go in. I really enjoyed Coach Williams. I could see he's a spiritual person. He was teaching life mm-hmm. lessons, on the mm-hmm. court and off the court, and I think that's neat. And I see him leading the prayers with the team now. When Paul George was hurt, and he kind of got the guys together, and I think that's again a tribute to him as a person and who he is. That we as coaches, you have to do it your own way with your own personality and your own style and flair, and you can't try to be someone you're not. Players are going to pick up on that and know when you're not having substance on and off the court, and you have to lead by example. And Coach Williams does an outstanding job with that.
Absolutely. Anybody who's been around Coach Williams knows that his spiritual foundation is first.
Yeah.
He truly loves the game of basketball, and that's who he is. He's a head basketball coach, no doubt about it. But his spiritual life is first.
Yeah.
He not only, I think, mentors the players and help lead our players, but he also lead us as coaches. You know, I learned so much from him in terms of how he interacts with players, how he communicates with players, how he communicates to the media.
Yeah.
You know, how he, you know, as a father of 5, you know, husband, and how he is with his family. I mean, he carries himself with such grace, you know, and it's just exciting to be a coach, assistant coach on his staff. I mean, I can't even express, you know, how grateful I am to be a part of the organization and to be an assistant coach for Coach Williams now.
You bet.
You know, going on my 4th season.
Hey, Freddie, let me take you one back. The first time that I got to compete against Coach Williams, he was coming off of his heart ailment at Notre Dame University with John McLeod when I was at Chaminade, and we played against them in the Maui Invitational, and we got together, and I went to our coach saying, hey, I think one way we can watch them, because I had to prepare against them, and we went into a triangle and 2, and it gave them just enough. You know, we took them out of the rhythm offensively, and we got that win out there at Chaminade University against a good Notre Dame team that he played on.
Wow.
I'm putting years on myself now, huh, buddy?
Yes, you are.
Good stuff, good stuff. But Fred, I really appreciate you being on here, buddy. You know, do you have any other insight or content, or, you know, any nugget that you want to share with our viewers here? You know, as we let you go your own way, but can't tell you how awesome it's been to catch up with you and always, you know, see you down there at the NBA Summer Leagues. I gotta thank you for always being a friend and a mentor, and you know, you've always extended a helping hand to me, and for that I thank you, buddy.
Well, you're welcome, and once again, thanks for having me on, Scott. You know, I think the biggest thing, if I could leave something, you know, for young and guys who are aspiring to be coaches, or even young coaches or just starting out in the game, is just continue to learn and grow as much as you can. Attend as many clinics as you can. You know, learn from veteran coaches who've been around for years, and you can learn. And I think Coach Popovich had mentioned this before. I read somewhere that, you know, he learned from high school coaches.
Yeah.
You know, he talks about how Division III coaches are some of the best coaches that people will never hear about and know about. I mean, so you can learn from a coach at any level.
That's right.
You know, you learn bits and pieces. It doesn't just have to be from NBA coaches or, you know, big name college coaches. You learn from coaches on various levels, but to learn and grow and continue to work and hone your craft.
You bet. Well, I can't thank you enough for the nuggets and your time, my man. I'll definitely stay in touch. Again, I appreciate you being a friend and, you know, always staying in contact, and it means a lot to me. I'm so proud of you, and I know that, you know, there is no ceiling effect with you. You know, that you can't say the sky's the limit when there's footprints on the moon, my man, and I know you're going to be up there soon, baby.
Well, thanks again, Scott. Thank you very much for having me.
You got it, my man. God bless you, and I'll be in touch soon, my man.
God bless you, too.
All right. Wow.
Bye-bye.
Bob, that was great.
That was. What a great guy.
I'm telling you, just a first-class individual, and to bring, again, they just bring so much insight, and just the fact that, you know, he's just so humble, and he's hardworking, and, you know, as a player, he persevered. You know, he's got his opportunity at the highest levels now, and again, I'm so proud of him. But it's the guests like him that, boy, I tell you what, I feel bad that we don't get even more viewers, because there's so much to learn with the things that they share. And gosh, he's amazing.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I mean, you know, and that's the thing is. You know, and as you're talking, invariably I get questions in my head. I say, I want to ask this question, and then you'll come up and you'll ask the question for me. So it's awesome. But just the information, and you know, anybody that's aspiring to get into the professional sporting, what great lessons they can learn from people like that.
You better believe it. I'm thrilled to have him. Super excited for our next guest. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to get a former player of mine, Again, just a guy that I've had an authentic relationship with for so many years. Love this guy to death. Again, I was able to give him his very first professional playing job over in Austria. Again, many, many years ago, and he brought so much to that team, and he's got to play globally. He's coached internationally. Can't wait for him to also share his insight, being the last guest of the season on Season 1 here on the Coach Scott Field Show. We're going to have Matt Garrison right here, right after this break.
Leave a message. Thanks.
What was that?
Okay, we'll try that again.
I heard some of that.
It was leave a message. Thanks. Here we go.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Is this Matt?
Yeah, Tim.
Hey, Matt. This is Bob FITZGERALD, BRAVEHAVEN Media. I got Coach Fields like to talk with you on the air if that's okay with you.
Yes, sir.
All right.
I'd love to.
Take it away, Scott.
We are back from BRAVEHAVEN Studios here in beautiful Salt Lake City, and we just had a great interview with an assistant coach with the New Orleans Pelicans, Fred Vinson, and now I get on here with one of my boys, Matt Garrison. Matty G, how you doing, young man? Can you hear me?
Matt, can you hear Coach?
Oh, did we lose him?
Oh, we did.
Oh, well, hey,
try it again.
I'll let you try to get him on there. I'll give a little bit of background with Matt and I's history. He came and played for me in Austria, and I knew we needed a guy who could play the 3-4 and a guy who could shoot it and score.
Hi, this is Matt.
Hey, Matt. Sorry, we lost the call there.
Oh, okay.
All right. So here's
Sorry.
Scott. Here's Scott.
Okay.
Matty G, how you doing, my man?
Hi, what's up, Coachy Coach? How you doing?
My man, God bless you. I'm so thrilled that you're on the show.
Man, thank you so much. I'm honored. This is amazing.
Oh, well, I tell you what, I was giving the viewers today a little bit of our history, and I was blessed to be able to give you your very first professional playing job in the country of Austria. I went in and took over a team that was coached by a Yugoslavian coach. They were around the 6th or 7th spot. We kind of got them up to about the 5th spot, and we got into the Final Four of the Austrian Cup. I went to my general manager. His name was Helmut Niederhofer. And I said, Helmut, I said, we need to get us a 3. I said, we need someone who has some size, who can defend, but yet, you know, be a scorer. And got on the phone with a friend of mine, Jody Gardner, a guy who shame on me, I haven't had a chance to talk with him, but he says, you need Matt Garrison. And we pulled the trigger, and man, were we lucky that we got you on that team, my man.
Well, that was a dream come true phone call from my agent Jody, and I just thank you so much for that chance. That was an amazing call to get.
You know what? It was so much fun, Matt. I mean, if you think about it, they put us in an old schoolhouse, and I had one end of the school that was my apartment, and then you were off in another part of the room, and we shared a big apartment complex. But they turned that old schoolhouse into an apartment complex, and you and I shared that housing quarters as foreigners, trying to build that team and take them deep into the playoffs.
That was hilarious. They had us in there. I'm like, I go to Europe, I fly into Frankfurt, I get to Austria, I'm like, I'll meet this American guy, and you're just so excited and vibrant. I'm just tired. You want to sit up and talk, and so we end up sitting up and talking, and then you go, man, with the other American. I'm like, who's the other American? And you go, A.J. Rollins. I'm like, A.J. Rollins, I just met him at a wedding not too long ago. So he comes storming in the room. We sat up all night. You made us go to practice in the morning. And after talking all night, but we were so excited, and there was like 3 guys that just loved basketball. And I mean, that was a fun experience. And then they moved me over to that car lot. Remember that? I lived in that like remodeled office of a car lot over there on the, off the side of the road. Oh, that was hilarious. That was great.
That was Mullersdorf, baby.
Oh, that was great.
Oh, what a great time we had. I mean, you were coming into your own as a player. You were getting yourself physically stronger. Your body was morphing, and gosh, we had success. And if you think about it, we had just beaten a European Cup team in St. Poulton, and that team had Mike James as a guard. Mike James, who's been, who's landed in the NBA for years and spent time with Toronto and Chicago and Dallas. And it's amazing that, the people that we meet and the relationships that we form. And it's always been a blessing to have you, because you and I also got to work together, with some of Jody's free agent teams when we were playing, out in Long Beach there at the Pyramid. We got to, scrimmage against some of the NBA teams. I think we went against the, we beat the Lakers in the Lakers facility when we had Sean Rooks and Jelani Gardner. And, we had Coach Sellers on here a couple weeks ago, and we got to kind of reminisce on those things. But, man, it was so fun working with you, Matt. And then I think... we made some calls, and then you end up going to a team that I was coaching in Lebanon after I had left. And, the team, was kind of going through a transformation and a rebuilding, and you got to be a part of that. And then you played in, I believe, Australia and Japan. Share some of those experiences with our global audience.
Wow. Where do you go with that one? Yeah, I was listening to you and Don Sellers talk about that day. For all of us, what a huge opportunity that was to kind of, hey, we won't play you guys in public, but you can come over to our private deal, because you've got some pretty good names on that team. We had Mario Bennett and on that team, Antonio White, we had Jack Hartman, we had Sean Rooks, myself, and they had you and Don coaching, and it was just like all of us walked in, we're like, man, there's the office, look at the trophies, like, where are we? Wow, like with the Lakers and all of a sudden,
we had to sign those waivers of release.
And I remember that day, you hear a lot of players talk about their break. That was one of those moments for me where it was like, okay, here's a chance where I've nothing to lose. You got, the coaches and the staff right over there watching, and they're looking at their guys, and they're concerned with the plays they're running for Summer League, and we go in and just smoke them. And for me personally, that was like one of those days where I couldn't have had a better day on the biggest stage for me, for an opportunity as this small school kid to go out there and shoot the ball. And I just remember I just got in the zone. I just didn't miss that whole day. I just was like, this is easy. Yeah. And Tex Winter walks over to you guys, and he goes, who's that kid? Well, he's been in Australia, kind of playing over there. And he goes, why is he not in the NBA?
Yeah.
And I go, what? Like, I can play in the NBA? That's Tex Winter. He just told my coaches that I looked up to that I had a chance at what? And it was in that moment where I'm like, I guess I did just do something kind of cool for me, and the hard work would paid off, and working with Jody and all those workouts and stuff we had done, and really working on my shot and honing that. And you're just humbled by something like that, where you get affirmed by some of these big names in basketball, and you're going, what?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what really triggered me off to have confidence in. And we went over to Australia. I was lucky enough to be kind of the glue guy on a couple teams that had Australian national team players on that team. I got I had a chance to play for Brendan Joyce with the Hawks. We won a championship there. Wow. He's now the coach for the girls Olympic team, and I played the next year for Phil Smythe. He was the coach at the time for the the Australian national team. And you're kind of playing on that stage, and I wasn't the best player on the team. I was just a glue guy. I was just like, okay, how do you make a good team, pretty good team, a competitive team? And they kind of allowed me and let me come in and just shoot the ball from the high post and run hard, work hard, and wasn't the most talented, but I made good choices off the court and just kind of luckily just got around good guys, and we ended up winning. And just I think it's important overseas, to have your American come in and buy in and just be like, hey, I just want to be on this team, and I just want to win. I don't care. I'll play for free. Like that was probably my problem. I'd always play for free. But you go over there and you're playing with those guys, and I don't know. It was just God working in my life, going, okay, I'm going to take this basketball thing, and if you give me your best effort, I'm gonna bless you in these little ways. Going over and have a chance to impact people and love on them. And I cherish those moments. On the bus, on the plane, waiting in airports, sitting up late at night, talking with you, talking with teammates. That's why I love sports. That's why I was so happy to get affirmed that day, where I had a chance to really build a career overseas and dealing with guys and just like, hey man, you know what? I love you no matter what.
Yeah.
Let's go win some games, and then afterwards I'm still gonna love you, and love me back. And I guess that's the part I love and miss the most, is just those times with people.
Yeah. Oh, I can't echo that enough. Some of the relationships and some of the players that we've gotten to work with and develop and help grow them as players, and like you say, it's the Lord working in amazing ways to help develop these talents and help their marketability, and to see where you've gone. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe you got to go into camp with the Clippers at one point. Wasn't that right?
Yeah, so after the Laker workout, the word kind of got out that there's this kid in town that, shoots the ball, and they're kind of, labeled me a catch-and-shoot guy. Here's a catch-and-shoot guy who can come off screens and play the three and sometimes the two guard. And then we went over to Australia, and here's another thing, just being in the right place in the right time, and just, good living, I guess, off the court a little bit, taught to me by my parents, who hopefully are listening. But, you go over to Australia, and in year 2000, they had the Olympics there. Well, on our team, we didn't even make the playoffs the year before. I think we finished like 9th or something. Then the next year we go, and I remember telling our GM in the off season, if you sign Axel Ditch from Gonzaga and myself, and we get a couple other kids, like we stay healthy, and we get 2 breaks down the stretch, we're going to win the championship. I'm telling you, we stay healthy, we make 2 breaks down the stretch, we're going to win this thing. I told him that in July. And we ended up signing Axel, which allowed me to come off the bench. He gets Rookie of the Year. We stay healthy. We get 2 amazing breaks down the stretch of that season, because it was best of 3, best of 5 to win it. We got 2 amazing, like, Hollywood story, breaks. One was the guy Damon Lowry gets fouled shooting a 3 with no time on the clock. So they clear the lane. There's no one out there, and he hits the first free throw, front rim, rolls in. We're down 3, so he's got to make we're down 2. He's got to make all 3 to win it, 2 to tie. So the first one hits front rim, rolls in. Second one hits front rim, backboard, goes in, we're tie. Here's this kid standing in front of 6,000 people, sold out arena, our smallest little guard, and it's what every kid dreams of. No time left, shooting free throws to win it, to go to the championship. And we counted the ball. It hit on the rim 9 times and falls in for us to win. I mean, it's like this storybook ending. We go on to the playoffs. We win on the road in I think it was in 3. I think we swept them, maybe 4. I can't remember. We go on to win. Then that year they go into the Olympic year, and all the guys from the league play on the Olympic team, and they finish 4th in the Olympics. So now they're going, okay, here's Australia, which is on the main stage in the world. They finished 4th in the Olympics in 2000. Here's a kid. There's only 2 Americans on that team. Okay, what's going on here? Like, which one of the Americans? Hey, we heard about this kid playing in the States in the summer league. I got member of the MVP of the Long Beach Summer League, the FIBs Summer League, which was like another moment. Did the Laker thing, and all of a sudden it's like, well, hang on. If Australian players are fourth in the world and we got Americans over there that are on championship teams, let's look at a couple of those guys. So all these other events that I had absolutely no control over, orchestrated only by God, to come into play to give me one chance to get the attention of a local team, which was the Clippers. They go, we're hearing about this guy, over at Battlegrounds at Nike. We're hearing about him from that. We got to look at it. By default, we got to look at this kid, So it's like I always get a chance to go in front of him by default. I go in there and, went through the summer league, kind of worked my way in through the back door, beat some guys out through some August and September tryouts, and the next thing you know, I signed with them in '03 and had a chance to make the team. So it was just, just by me being, one goal was, how can I work out to be better than I was yesterday and control what I can control? God worked out these things on the world kind of scale, not in a narcissistic way, just in like all these things had to come into play for people to make decisions to go, okay, let's just look at it. But there's a chance for this kid who we just have to do our due diligence on.
Yeah.
And now it's on me to go in and, and do what I can do and shoot the ball and have some favor that way too. So it was just God's favor, just through grace that I was even in those gyms to begin with. And we've all been back to you taking a chance on me in Austria years before.
No.
So it's like, what are the odds,
There's no doubt that the good Lord has had a plan and has had his hand on your career. And, let's back it up for a second, because I'm not going to let this slide. You were winning in these cage matches of basketball. If I can't, wasn't that on like MTV or something? Take us back to the cage matches and you out there just bruising and banging on these guys.
Well, Freddie V he was in that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Freddie V, like you're in the, like, it was crazy because the cage match was like, Nike did this thing called Battlegrounds, all to sell a shoe.
Yeah.
To sell this line of shoe called the Battleground shoe.
Yeah.
They come up with Venice Beach League, which is this outdoor, Rusky, like all these dudes out there playing. And they put up $30,000. So for the 5-on-5 tournament for the summer, Rock Johnson, through American, says, Matt, come be on this team. Let's go out and play in this tournament out in Venice. And if, we get $30,000 if we win. But I went out there because I got free shoes. We got all this gear. We got bags, and we had a chance to play on Saturdays. I was like, I don't have a Saturday workout plan. This would be a great chance for me to go up and down, get my wife, my girlfriend at the time, my wife, come out and hang out at the beach. We go out and win the thing. We go out and win the thing. I go, well, I covered our parking for the summer. It's just like, so from that, playing in the 5-on-5, they're like, got to know, Freddie and myself and a bunch of other amazing players that played out there.
Yeah.
And they invited me, kind of like, hey, we need a guy to come play in this cage match. And I'm like, well, I'm not a one-on-one player. And they're like, yeah, we know, but we kind of just need a token, if you know what I mean. I'm like, no, what do you mean? And they just go, look, man, we need you to come out and play. Will you do it? We'll give you some free shoes. I was like, all right, I'll go out there. So I go out, I play, and it's like in a cage by yourself. You're one-on-one, like not really fouls called, and I'm not a one-on-one guy, so I just backed into guys and beat them up and end up getting to the finals. And we go to this mansion. We go to Bernini Mansion up in Hollywood. They bus us in, this huge red carpet. It was awesome. Like, it was so much fun. We ended up, there was 32 guys from LA, and we had the first round to get to the final 8. I ended up beating Zach Frey at the buzzer. I climb up on the cage, and I'm like at the top of the cage screaming and yelling like an idiot, just hanging on it, getting the crowd going and everything. And it was kind of like I was the underdog because Zach, all these guys I had to play through were amazing. I ended up just getting lucky and beating them up, and I just outlasted them stamina-wise. That's all it was. There was no talent at that point. You're so exhausted, so I had a little more stamina than I beat them. And I go off and I go, oh, that's funny. And what happened was the championships, when I'm in the final 8, the championship is on the same day as my wedding. June 28th.
I remember that.
And Nike's going, well, you're playing in it. And my fiance's standing on my wedding. I was, no, he's not. He ain't playing in that. They're like, no, he's playing in it. Like, what's it going to take for you guys to play in this? I'm like, man, we have our whole wedding planned, like, over in Burbank. Well, he goes, we're Nike, we'll move it. So I'm like, what? So they go into this undertaking so that I could play in it, because I have this wedding now we have to deal with. And we had a wedding up in Burbank, and then they send in 2 buses and a limo to take all the guests and our wedding party, myself and my wife, and Rock, of course, jumped in the car, bulldozed his way in there. MTV jumps in the limo. They're in the back recording it. We jump in the car. We got a helicopter above us, police escorts front and back for the limo. They take us from Burbank to Venice Beach in about 25 minutes. Yeah. I mean, they shut off freeways. We're going on the shoulder. The helicopter's telling the driver, who's on a mic with this assistant, where to go. You got MTV filming us as we're driving down there. Escort the buses down. Police escorts the buses down with all the guests. We get down to the beach. There's about, I don't know, it must have been 7,000 people at Venice that night. Go in there, won a couple games, end up losing to most stores at the end to go to the championship. And, you know, but again, just from that, having like this whole production goes on MTV. We have this little, you know, thing on there, and little quick, you know, John Sally was on there doing his little zerp on there on the DVD. That was about it. Yeah. And then, you know, it moved on to the guys that won. But again, just from that, this funny story of this guy who left his wedding and his fiance, and how crazy she was, is how they sold it to go play in this 101. You know, that word just kind of got out with the Laker thing and the Aussie getting the championships in Australia, and then it was just, again, just something that we couldn't control. Yeah. That God just orchestrated, and now we have a great wedding memory. You know, like talk to those people that came to that wedding. Like, that was the craziest, best, weirdest, funnest wedding ever. Again, that was ridiculous. I mean, so Matt, it was fun.
Let's be honest, Matt. The good Lord had His hand on that the whole time to orchestrate, to make that work for your wedding and to bring a basketball, because that was MMA versus, or, you know, intermingled with White Man Can't Jump, and it was perfect.
It was exactly what it was.
I'm so proud of you, man. So proud of you. I do. I sit back and I think of these stories, and that's why I had to go back and let you share that story, because if I would tell that story, people would be like, "Oh, come on, Coach. What, you know, why you got to lie to me?" So I had to have you share that story with our international viewers. You know, Matt, I've always been a fan, and have admired you from afar quietly. You know what? You've got a beautiful family. You've been able to juggle family, you know, your career, you know, your playing days came to an end, and then you get into coaching, and you get to go back to Japan where you played, and you helped build a professional franchise out there and branded it and had success with them. Tell our viewers about that transition and how the good Lord used you and was able to orchestrate an opportunity for you, that you made sacrifices, your family made sacrifices, you had a great support system in hand, and you turned a franchise around and gave them success as a coach.
You know, and I appreciate that, and it was just such a humbling experience. I mean, it was so, to get a call like that and be like, "Do you want to come over and affect people's careers?" You know, and it's very scary, and it can be daunting, and you're like, you know, I'm like, absolutely, like, this is a dream, kind of once in a lifetime deal. And, you know, you got all these amazing coaches I got to play for. It's kind of like, you know, I started calling them, you know, like, "Hey, what do you think? What do you think? What are you doing?" And they're like, "Jump on it, you know, and think of this, think of that, think of this." So, I mean, just, I wouldn't have even had an opportunity to do that if I hadn't been coached up myself, and if I hadn't been coachable. And, you know, I asked a ton of probably silly questions, and just because I always wanted to know and learn. So I go over there to Japan, and I think, you know, the first thing that we did was recruit amazing Americans. Another one from the cage match, but Aaron Maxey, you know. I called Niall Murray first from TCU. He's been over there for years. He's just a great guy, a fierce competitor, amazing off-the-court choices, and just a quiet leader who, when he speaks, you're like, you know what, that's wisdom. He doesn't speak a lot, but when he does, like, we need to listen. So we got him. We got Chris Holmes, was the rebounding king out there. We got him, recruited him well. We signed Aaron Maxey, and then a guard from Biola, you know, a young kid, Dwight Gordon, came out, and so we had Dwight, who was just a phenomenal athlete and great player, great point guard, that could kind of, you know, you're dealing a lot with budget too, in that kind of sense of here's a kid who's going to come over and bust it and do everything that you ask him to do and being amazing. And then we had Aaron Maxey, an older player, who was able to mentor and really help me out. Chris and Aaron really helped me out as a rookie coach, as a young guy, just like really good feedback all year. I had an amazing assistant coach in my assistant, who was our assistant when I played and was a point guard for us when we played together. So we had a long history together. And then the next year, so we did okay. We did okay our first year. We made playoffs. I think we made it to the final 6. I think we finished 5th in the division. There's 20 teams that year, and there was 10 in the East, 10 in the West. I think we finished 5th, I believe, 4th or 5th. I think 5th. And then next year we made a couple changes. We brought in James Keith from UCLA, who was just a hard-working kid who was just amazing, and Marcus Gray. And just bringing in guys, I think, like that are good guys and team guys. And we just went over there, and I was like, look, we're going to eliminate all your excuses. We're going to provide everything for you that you need off the court to come in. And living there and being there in that culture, I was able to really give feedback on, all the off-the-court living and what pitfalls. And we were eliminated to really educate and tell these guys, hey, this is what you're buying into from the beginning before you come over there. If you can't, then don't come, because this is exactly how it is. 100%. There's nothing that we didn't communicate to them. And they went over there, and we just it was amazing. And the very first conversation I had was, this is a Japanese team first. You Americans were over here to be help this program grow, period. This is a Japanese team. When we come and go, these Japanese guys are going to be here, and they're going to be carrying it, and they're going to be the ones that we leave to live a daily life, to walk around in the city. Like, we need to make good choices for these guys, because they live here. Their families are here. We're going to come and go. Yeah. But the legacy and the things that we're going to do is only going to make them look good or bad. Right. So we need to make them look good in every case, and living off the court. And so I just got guys that would do the right thing off the court. We had 2 amazing, ridiculous Japanese, and I told them, I said, look, if you guys don't shoot 12 shots a game, I'm going to take you out. You need to be firing the ball at all costs. Yeah. Shoot. Empowered them to shoot. And in Japan, I don't think they ever had the leashes taken off and then shackled like that. And just be like, if you're the core of this team, you're the leaders, you guys need to get 30 points a game. Like, that's your goal between there's 3 of them. And we'll pick up, the Americans will pick up. So I kind of flipped it. I went in opposite from a lot of coaches, and now, we ended up losing at the buzzer to Reggie Gary to get to the championship. We won the East. We set records. We empowered the Japanese. We empowered them every single day. We backed them up as Americans, and we set records. I mean, it's like we went and got these amazing rebounders. We got Rodney Webb from out here in LA, an old buddy of mine, and just horses that would rebound and kick it out, and then be able to score in the post. So we won the East. We won the conference championship. So the first time we did that as a club. We set a 3-point percentage goal. We shot the noise out of, I think, 36% as a team, something ridiculous from 3. We had Chris do really well with rebounding. I think he won the rebounding battle that year because we were shooting it so much. And then Niall was an all-star, and we had 6th man of the year in one of our Japanese the year before. So just really, like, there wasn't an amazing MVP on that team. Every guy was an all-around player, and every guy lived off the court and made great choices off the court. So, it's just, we lose to Reggie Gary at the buzzer. He goes on to win it. It was just an amazing year. A guy on his team, the Dylan Burns kid, hits a shot. It hit the metal corner of the backboard as he's falling out of bounds over Chris Holmes, 6'10", Rodney Webb, 6'8". Hits the corner of the backboard, spins and go in. We lose at the buzzer.
Wow.
I mean, going there and laying on the ground crying like it was our year. It was like destiny, We broke all these records and a bunch of stuff. So to lose like that, I was so happy for Gary. But we just walked at center court and go, "What do you do? What do you do?" Good game. That's right. So it was a crazy way to lose, but it was a memorable one.
Well, you did an outstanding job, and the lives that you impacted while you were there, will be things that they'll talk about for years. And here you are now. Share with the viewers what you're doing now. You're an athletic director out in California, correct?
Yeah, so after going to Biola in '95, I met up with a couple people out there that ran DCA. So I'm at Desert Christian Academy out here in Indio, California, which is just east of Palm Springs and Palm Desert, if you're familiar with the area. Ooh. So it's out here in Indio. Bermuda Dunes is our school.
It's a
little private Christian academy that friends of mine at Biola kind of ran, and it was their family started it. And the founder, Dave Fulton, started it 38 years ago, just on a shoestring budget, a couple little outbuildings, and now it's grown to K through 12. We got 500 students. They brought me out here to be the athletic director for the secondary, and I'll be the basketball coach. And I'm just so honored for the opportunity. Just through a relationship from Biola, just a solid Christian couple. You know, Dave and Julie have been amazing. I've only been here about 5-6 weeks now, and I just watch how they influence people every day. Everyone's got a story about how amazing they've been, touched by the Fultons. And their daughter is now the head of school, Debbie Scott. She's married to a friend of mine, and they kind of gave a call out to us and said, what are you doing? And I was like, look, I'm back in Montana. And they're like, you're done overseas? I said, yeah, I'm done overseas. And they're like, well, what do you think about coming down? So here I sit, in kind of a humbling chair, just trying to pick the ball up that's here and run with it and really move this thing forward. It's an exciting time. The school's going into a lot of transition. Again, I think the timing is amazing for the opportunity, and I'm just so pumped and wrapped to even have a chance to, again, just a chance, to move this thing forward through Christ. And anytime God's at the center of this thing, through a family that's amazing, a group of people that are amazing. We have an amazing administration team here, and it's all going forward fast. So I'm a little overwhelmed at times, but it's awesome. It's awesome. It's a lot. So I'm pumped.
They couldn't find a better person to to take the reins and put it in the right direction. Great person, great heart. You can hear your passion come through the airwaves there, and those kids are going to be blessed and empowered to have you as a role model and a mentor and someone to guide and direct them to make good choices, mentally, physically, spiritually. Not so much in that order, but you're going to do a fantastic job. I'm proud of you. And it's great to sit here and share those stories and to hear your growth. And you've got a beautiful family, and I'm so proud of you, Matt, to see how far you've come and the things that you've done and the lives that you're impacting. You're truly what this program is all about. As we talk about empowerment, education, and growth, and you're transforming lives, my man. So God bless you. Keep doing what you're doing, and just know if there's anything that you need, I'll be happy to try to assist in any way I can, my man.
Well, no, Coach, I appreciate that, and it's a humbling, it's an amazing group that you've had on the show, and every single person, I haven't listened to them all, everyone's echoed your humility, your passion, and your investment in each of them. Like each person just is so amazed at the investment you made. And the ongoing, just love, and your whole story too. Everyone's drawn to you because of your story, just of overcoming and fighting through stuff. And you get around you, and it's like your sense of urgency in life and living life day to day. I mean, it's amazing what you've done, and I'm so happy to be on the show. And thank you for having me.
Oh, actually, we're the lucky ones, my man. We are lucky to have you and Freddie V. And we've had an exciting season this first year. This is actually segment 19, Matt. And, it's guests like yourself. I mean, Bob and I sit here, our producer, and we scratch our heads, and it's just like, wow, there's such great content, being shared on a weekly basis. And, you guys drive, what this whole show's about. You stay within our mission, and to hear you talk about your faith and how God has driven it, and with your family, I can't be more proud of you, buddy.
No, thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, do you have any last comments that you would like to share, with viewers probably from Lebanon, Australia, Japan, worldwide. Do you have any comments for players who are trying to go on to the next level, or maybe coaches who are aspiring, to continue to grow, or just, with spirituality? Did you have anything that you would love to share with our viewers? I mean, I hate to put you on the spot like that when you weren't prepared, but I mean, you're just so well balanced, with faith. Do you have anything that, you can share with our viewers?
Well, I mean, I always kept Christ-centered. I didn't always make the right choice. I didn't always do the right thing necessarily, but Christ first from my parents on has always been, at the center of the choices that we make. And by His grace, He lets us live another day. And, I encourage everyone to ask questions, really be a student of the game. And just like Freddie V said, everyone can teach us. Every single person we come across can be a teacher. Even from the speeches I heard today, it's kind of our first day here. I'm learning. It's amazing. So, right now I've recently, this last couple of years, just really been thinking 365. In 365 days from today, how much better am I going to be in my passion as a father, as a husband, as a coach, as as maybe whatever we go. 365, life goes so quick. It's day by day. What am I going to do this year? And every day be better than I was yesterday to the best of my ability and move this thing forward. We tuned into that global leadership summit, and with Bill Heidlis out of Willow Creek. It was amazing because it's like, and I know hopefully I'm not dropping a lot of names here. It sounds like I am, but all these people and names leave an impact. We all leave an impact on each other, good or bad. And, out of that conference, a big thing for me was no quit. Just no quit, 365, day by day, living in the moment and trying to improve the best we can, as humble as we can by serving people. I mean, if we can go through life, just with a bit of that, each day and find other people, so get a supporting crew that's going to, help you along your path. I mean, that's just huge, putting a team of people that are going to pray for you around you. Then, let the chips fall where they may.
There you go. I love it, Matt. God bless you. You're an awesome individual and have always thought the world of you, and I'm just thrilled. I mean, think about it. Years and years ago, when we picked you up at the airport and you're landed in Austria for your first professional job, who would have thought that all these years later that, we've continued our friendship and, the support of each other. And, that's what this is really all about. And, I'm touched and couldn't have a better person wrap up the end of season 1 than Matt Garrison. And what were some of the things that you initially took from me that maybe that I was able to help you or inspire you or help you with your development as a player or coach?
I love, number one, that just your overall, stay positive, be confident. You honed in on that quickly with me, my lack of confidence in getting down on myself quick or being too hard on myself. You were always positive, always ready to say, hey, pick yourself up. Yeah, well, you're not perfect. It's kind of almost a little bit, arrogant a little bit to think that you're going to do it right every time. That's what you're getting better. Start your process, focus on your process, how to get better, and be positive, and you always encouraged all of us to do that. I love that about you. And I love, number 2, was your accountability. I loved it and hated it because it's your truth and love after every game, giving us a packet of immediate feedback. You scored us individually on rebounds, box outs, not necessarily stats, all the little things that led up to what a stat would be. Yeah. And you graded us, and there was immediate feedback. Work on these things. You're not good at these things. You can get better at these things. And those two things right there were a perfect kind of balance between here's something I can do immediately. I can stay focused on what's in front of me. I can live in the moment, but yet I have this greater goal. You'd always set the boundary really far out, almost dreamlike, but then here's what you're going to do today. Here's what we're going to do this week. I love that balance. I think it's great coaching. I think it's great just dealing with people and getting people to stay in their lane and stay focused and make that tangible goal. I prayed, my goal was to be good enough to make it to the NBA. And I prayed, and I just was my goal is to make it to the NBA, be good enough, be good enough. My prayer was never play in the NBA. be an NBA player.
Yeah.
So I made my goal. God, I prayed, and we need to be specific on what we pray for, and setting goals and arriving at those goals. And I think that was a huge, you provided a logistical path to reach goals, set goals, and all the way through. I'll never forget that. I actually I've always wanted to ask you this. I need a copy of that, actually. That little coaching, the coaching grading point system that you made for us. That thing's amazing.
I've got it, and I'll be more than happy to get it to you, because like you said, it is an accountability piece, and it lets you know exactly what the coach was thinking. And because there's so much lack and disconnect, players a lot of times don't know what their roles are. They don't know what the coach expects of them, and that's why I would take the time to spend that 8 hours after every game to break it down and and give you an individual evaluation after every game to show you your positive points and your negative points. And collectively, we took a look at it to say, okay, as a team, are we meeting our goals? And you as an individual, as a person on that team, what are you doing to help our team maximize and reach our goals? And that's what that whole thing was about. So I guess we were doing analytics way before analytics were ever brought up.
Right. Well, it made us communicate. You put the burden of proof on everyone. We're not hiding. What I say in front of you, I'm saying to that guy. What I say in private, I'm saying in front of everyone. There's no secrets. There's communication is open and deliberate in love, and it's just truth. Yeah. Bang, bang, bang. Take it or leave it. I love that. Yeah. A lot of coaches don't do that.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm humbled by your kind words. Well, I've definitely got a packet and a handbook I can send out to you, and I hope you're able to use it and implement it and take from it what you need to fit your program and your philosophy, because I know only great things are going to happen out there, while you're, leading and guiding.
Oh, I appreciate that. I definitely want that.
You got it. Well, listen.
Need that.
well, God bless you and your family. Continue to touch and inspire, and I know that only positive things will happen. Again, as you're being God-centered and spiritually driven, and you're going to impact those lives that you're touching out there, and never lose sight of that you're in a service to help people become better people.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks, Coach. Thanks for all that you do.
You got it, buddy. God bless you, and thank you so much for being a guest.
You too. Talk soon.
You bet, buddy. Wow.
Good stuff.
What a great way, Bob, to bookend Season 1 with Segment 19 here in Matt Garrison. Talk about some amazing experiences that he got to go through. And again, he's a spiritual person, and he's never let that, he may have, wavered a little bit, but what a great person. And it just epitomizes everything that we've talked about this entire season. And I don't think there's a better person that we could have to end out Season 1. No,
and that's great, and you say all of us make mistakes and stuff like that, but it's where we end up at the end of the day that is the most important. I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Is he as much fun to hang out with as he was to listen to?
Oh, let me tell you something. Clear back in the day when I would fly out to, I'd go to, John Wayne International, there in Orange County. Big Matt come picking me up at the airport. Here's this 6'8" white guy leaning back in his Cadillac, just music bumping, and he's just a quality person. His passion, his energy. He worked so hard. Like he said, he was coachable, and it's just, we always say you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with, but he's got some great stories. And
oh yeah,
I can remember one time we came back from this road trip, and all these girls were talking to players, and he was like, "Coach, man, we got to get away from these sea donkeys." And that was his exact word. So, Matt, I hope you're still listening, because I'll never forget the word sea donkey. But it was great, and I'm so glad we can laugh about it. And I know he's going to do a great job with that school out there.
Oh, yeah.
He talks about Biola, a small little Christian college, and there's another player, Mike Coffin, who also played and has won championships, and he's coaching now, and he's also from that same Christian college, Biola University. So, Mike, keep doing what you're doing out there. I know you're grinding, and I know you've had success as a coach as well. It's just so fun to wrap up Season 1, with that message. I'm I'm touched. I'm honored. It's so humbling to hear their kind words, because when you're in the grind and you're doing what you're doing, and you're trying to teach and develop players, and you're trying to help them with their marketability so they can go on with their careers. It's nice to know that all these years later, even though it might have been tough and it was challenging, and you're living in a country where you got to learn the currency and you got to learn the culture, you have to learn some language, you have all these other tangibles out there that you've been able to help someone within their career, and it's heartwarming to know that we've impacted them that way, and I'm just it almost brings me to tears. It's just it's a lot of fun, because it makes you feel like, what, all those sacrifices and being away from family, and spending 10 months of the year away, and in foreign languages and cultures, it's nice to know that it meant something.
Yep.
So it's a lot of fun. I can't thank you enough for an outstanding season of the Coach Scott Fields Show, working with you, coming in here with you. Our little two-man crew has put on a show that, as of today, again, over 12,100 viewers, with our demographics, a global demographic, and it's just so much fun, and I'm so glad that you persevered and kept pushing me, saying, hey, Coach, let's do a show, and it's been so fun. It's been rewarding, and I know that the good Lord has His hands on it, because hopefully that there's words that we're sharing to where we're inspiring or we're leading people. Again, it's about the empowerment, it's about the education, it's about the growth. Not only have we left nuggets, I hope it's been a gravy train to mashed potato city, baby. So
you gotta copyright that one, Scott.
It's the gravy train to mashed potato city. You heard it right here on the Coach Scott Fields Show. Have to bring a little bit of love in it. So I look forward to coming back for season 2. We continue to pray and look for opportunities to get back on the sideline and coach and work with the team. I know the good Lord has His hands on it. I want to thank my wife for her patience and putting up with me and my depression, because I'm not on the court doing what I love to do. Hey, I'm just like everybody else. I'm human, and I've got my faults, and I've got to continue to grow, and I've got to hold myself accountable. But again, the most important thing to me is that I'm the best husband that I can be, the best father, to Whitney and Brandon, and lead them by example, and just try to be the best guy that we can possibly be every day, and continue to grow. And I got to thank my family for their support constantly. It's been fun. My dad actually sent a text here this afternoon when the show started, and I want to read this because my dad means a lot to me. He just says, "You guys have put together a great program with a lot of quality information and fantastic guests. Enjoyed every program. Looking forward to next season." And that was from my mom and dad out there in Indiana. So thank you for that message. Thank you for your unwavering and unconditional love and support always. It means the world to me. You guys are my backbone. I am who I am because how you raised me. So I thank you and I love you. And Bob, any last words you want to share before we wrap up season 1 here, buddy?
No, just thanks to everybody that supported us and helped us to help us to grow.
You bet.
And we look forward to growing even more. And please stay in tune with us on CoachScottFields.com.
You bet.
We'll be on there often, putting up messages and keeping things posted and talking about the next season, which is coming up.
That's right. Yeah, we're going to continue to grow, and thank you for your input. If there's things that you would like to see or like to hear or would like for us to touch on, please take the time to reach out to us. And maybe there's a person out there who in the community who can maybe use a little inspiration or a little guidance. Please contact us with that information as well. We're honored and humbled to be able to help out in any way we can with that. So with that said, thank you so much. It's been an exciting 19 segments. We kind of got this going in April, I believe.
Yep.
So here we are in middle of August. It's the 18th. And we're going to come back next year with season 2. And again, probably with a few more gadgets and some things we're going to do to make it better. We're going to put these sales teams together. We're going to be doing some more marketing. Hopefully we can have a blogger. We can have some other people helping us here in the studio to grow the show and continue to market, promote, and get those endorsements. So we're thrilled and humbled, and thank you so much for an outstanding season. We love you. God bless. We will see you probably in maybe November or December. Be looking for social media to see when this is all going to kick back up. We hope you've taken something from this and have grown. So Hopefully you're empowered. Hopefully you feel a little more educated. And hopefully you've grown and we've impacted you in a positive way. God bless you, and we'll see you next season.